This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to mourn the loss of two very important entities. The first being our integrity. And the second...
Rest in peace, our integrity.
...is our moderator, Jacob A. Rogers.
Oh, Jacob.
Let's all cry. We hardly knew ye.
He's not going to listen to this show.
We can say whatever we want.
Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
I'm Dan.
Dan?
Hey,
wait,
Dan.
Wait. Dan from the Candy Show?
Oh, yeah, that's going to confuse people.
Yeah, it's different Dan.
Yeah, you're a different Dan, right?
Dan the Movie Man.
Oh, he gave himself a name.
Did you just give yourself a nickname?
Totally.
Dan the Movie Man. Dan Farnsworth is here with us today. He's a friend of Kent's, and we'd like to welcome him on the show for purposes we'll get to here in a moment.
Indeed.
Also, Jake is dead. And
literally and metaphorically?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
To you or for real?
To me and for me. What? I don't know.
But we'd like to thank you for listening to our Office Etiquette show. It was interesting because people that listened to that seemed, at least in my opinion, I had Dave at work, he listened to it in pieces as he drove around.
Yeah.
And whenever he would listen to a part, I'd know it because he'd come into my office and do something, like sit on my desk and swing his feet
Wasn't that
around.
the worst?
It was hilarious.
People are like, I'm tapping you on the shoulder. Do you hate this? Do you hate this? I'm like, yes, I hate you.
It's like when people know what you don't like, they like to exploit it. But Dave was doing it in all in fun. But it sounds like you had maybe some issues.
I can't say too much, but I will say that day the show came out, someone showed me their before and after picture, weight loss pictures in their underwear. And I should not be seeing that at work.
Were the pictures in their underwear, or were they in their underwear showing you pictures?
Both.
Awkward.
Come in here. I need to sing you a Britney Spears parody song and look at before I lost all this weight. Oh.
Yeah, but no, we appreciate your feedback on that show. We also, if you have ideas for future etiquette shows, feel free to send them our way. We keep a list of them.
Honestly, they're some of our favorites.
Yeah, we do enjoy those.
Yeah.
But why is Dan here and Jacob not?
Well, Jacob said he diagnosed himself with some weird laryngitis thing. He said his epiglottis was opening and closing.
Isn't that normal?
Yes, but when it happened, he blacked out.
Apparently.
And so he said, if I talk tonight, I'm going to black out. And we're like, maybe still come. Maybe still be on the show.
I think that would make for a great show. But we wish you well, Jacob, if you listen to this. And
But the reason we have brought Dan here, in fact, what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today, Dan?
Michael Bay movies.
There we go. We have brought Dan in because he's a true Michael Bay fan.
Yes.
I am. I'm
Now-
not ashamed to admit it.
If you haven't been on our social media, if you haven't been on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, you're probably wondering why. Why are they talking about Michael Bay? It's your fault, listener.
It really is.
Because in a Facebook Live video we just said, hey, we're going to do this idea for a show where we have to defend something that might not be that good.
Yes.
And
we got about 50 options, like a Nicolas Cage, Twilight,
Nickelback,
Medea movies.
Anne Hathaway.
Yes.
So we were having all these things that people generally didn't like. We narrowed it down to two options, being Batman and Robin and Michael Bay movies. And the listener voted, and it was close.
Really
It was
close.
very close. I think it actually was 50-50 on Twitter. But on Facebook, Michael Bay pulled ahead.
Although I feel like people are confused because we did this as a joke, right? We're like, pick the worst one that we have to defend on the show.
Yeah, make us uncomfortable.
And so people were like, well, you definitely should do a Michael Bay show because Batman and Robin is indefensible. And I'm like, that's the point.
Yeah. So there may have been
Vote for
some
the other one.
confusion in that regard. But
So we might still have to do a Batman and Robin defense show.
well, and we'll see how this show goes. Because the whole point is that Kent and I, who may not be as appreciative of Michael Bay, are
Easy there.
obligated. We're obligated to speak kindly of the man and his work,
Work?
Yes.
his play.
Okay, so going back to Dan commented and actually admitted to the world, which I thought was very brave of you.
Very brave.
It's 2018. It's fine to finally be free and say,
Yep.
I love Michael Bay.
Yep.
Oh,
Let
no,
your
what have I
Bay
done?
flag fly.
Let your Bay flag fly?
Let your Bay flag fly.
When jets are flying over you.
That's right. With American flag.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say, let's get to know Dan a little bit. So you were going to ask a question.
Yeah, so Dan, what's our history?
Well, Kent and I have known each other for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Forever.
Right.
That's forever.
Went to school together, and I used to work at a movie theater when I was in high school.
Best
And
job ever.
It was the best job ever. I used to get Kent and a bunch of my friends into the movies every week for free. It was called Movie Night. It was always on like a Wednesday or something when it wasn't busy at the movie theater. And bring as many friends as I wanted to, and we'd go watch all the movies.
Was this something that the movie theater like sponsored, or was this more of a backdoor operation?
It was a perk of working there, is I could get my friends in for free.
There you go.
Yeah, I started talking to Dan at school, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, you want to be friends? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, I could get you in a free movie. He's like, okay.
Isn't that how you make friends now?
Wait, I am Dan. No, to be honest though, Dan, you're a huge
become the master.
Exactly. You're a huge influence to me though, because back in those days, Austin Powers was my favorite movie.
What?
I kid
How you've
you
changed,
not.
sir.
And so Dan actually introduced me to film, like actual film, and I was like, I like 2.5-star movies. I am a slack-jawed yokel.
Wait, okay, I'm confused though, because you're saying that Dan here changed you into a film lover instead of a slack-jawed yokel.
Yes.
But Dan loves Michael Bay movies.
Can't he be both? Can't he be both?
Okay, no los dos. I think, Dan, you have devolved, clearly.
Welcome to Baconsale.
But I actually referenced Dan in our first Soundtrack and Phil show, where I would go over to your house. I remember this was senior year or whatnot.
Right.
And you had widescreen, or no, this was after that. You had widescreen DVDs.
No, they were VHS because DVDs hadn't been invented.
No, I mean like 2002, 2003. This was later on. He had widescreen, not full screen DVDs. I'm like, why would you get widescreen?
Why do you want the black bars?
And then in high school, he had movie scores. And I'm like, dude, where's the Cable Guy soundtrack? He's like, actually, I just have the Braveheart score here. And I'm like, what a movie dork. But he truly loved like the art of it. And it also taught me to appreciate everything that goes into a movie. And then somewhere along the line, you kind of lost it, clearly. Dan, the movie man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah. But we do appreciate having you here. In fact, Dan,
Hey, I like what I like.
anything else you want to tell us about yourself, personal life, PIN numbers, anything like that?
Let's see. I'm a Leo, and I don't know if people still do that.
You don't hear that as often. You don't hear what's your sign anymore.
I do it. I tell people I'm a Gemini all the time. I'm a two-face.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I love movies. I worked at a movie theater in high school, and then during college, I worked at Hollywood Video when that was still a thing.
I remember when that was a thing.
Yeah.
5 days, including new releases. Everything in the store is 5 days.
That's right. I always remember the Bond ripoff of like 5 days.
Yeah.
You'll always have 5 days. It was trying to be like a Bond opening.
Isn't it funny that it was so revolutionary that you could keep a movie for 5 days?
Who needs a movie for 5 days?
Like, it's like streaming has completely made that seem so weird, where it's like, wait, you just held it and didn't watch it?
You know they're counting on you just losing the movie after day 4. And so they're like, you're just going to pay us $900.
Oh man, you wouldn't believe some of the late fees people had.
I
like
bet.
I'm talking like $900 in
Did they
late
have to pay
fees.
up when they closed down?
There was a couple accounts that they were required to pay like $10 every time they rented
It's
a new
financing?
movie.
They have financing a Hollywood Video?
It wasn't even that. It was just like you can't keep renting and getting late fees because
I actually haven't gone to Top Hat Video in 20 years because I have a huge late fee there. And they're still open.
But Dan, we also have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Because as you know, every time we have a guest here on the show, we like to grill them a bit and see
here we go.
if they lean more Team Joel or Team Kent. So we have,
Okay. I've already insulted Dan on the show. And he's already said before the show that he agrees with you quite a bit.
but we shall see.
Yes.
Because you don't know which one's which. We're going to ask you a series of lightning round questions. Don't overthink it. Just say what comes to mind, and we'll get through them very quickly and then judge you.
on your market set go.
Which is better, Karate Kid 1 or Karate Kid 2?
Karate Kid 1.
Yes.
Okay, just read the questions.
Which is worse, Star Wars Episode 1 or Star Wars Episode 2?
I like them both.
But which one's worse?
Dan, the movie man, huh?
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
It's because I love movies, all types of movies except horror movies because
Dan,
those are gross.
Which is worse?
Star Wars Episode 1.
Damn. Yes. Do you rate movies using stars or letter grades?
Stars.
Yes.
Wow.
Which is the more America movie, Rocky 4 or Independence Day?
Rocky 4.
Yes.
Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
I would say Halloween.
Yes.
Buffy or X-Files?
Probably X-Files, although I've never seen an episode of either.
What? Okay.
Yikes.
Stricken.
Yeah, we might have to edit that part out.
Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
That's not fair.
Oh,
But
you
it's the
tell me.
question.
It's the question, though.
Cinematically, Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Which is more Christmassy, Die Hard or Lethal Weapon?
Die Hard.
Yes. People just don't know.
This is going well.
Phantom or Les Miserables?
Les Mis.
Okay. And Labyrinth or Neverending Story?
Never Ending Story.
Dan, Can I just say welcome to the show?
And here I
Dan.
was thinking I identified with Joel more.
Dan, the
Here you
movie
thought
man,
that,
my
but-
kind of guy. Thanks for being here today.
BS quiz.
Wait.
But don't worry.
Favorite rewatchability and favorite Star Wars over Lord of the Rings.
Well,
now
I don't know if
he's
that's
taking
take it
back.
back. It's already down there. I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it.
So what we're going to do in this show is we are putting Michael Bay on the defense stand. He gets attacked. He is called the devil by many critics.
Why?
He's called Hitler by several actresses that have worked with him.
That's true. But we're not
I'm
here to
pretty
talk
sure
about
he
the
would have
bad.
killed Hitler if he made a movie about that.
In the best way possible.
Yeah.
But so we're here, and Ken and I have kind of, we're doing our best to speak nicely.
Unironically, even.
Unironically, we're not going to be like, oh, yeah, I love it when he did that slow motion with the explosion.
It's like, we'll say, like, watch your tone. Like, when we're going to have a cue here. If we
Yes.
think each other is like, if we think each person is lying.
If we start to get negative,
Yes.
or if we're getting sarcastic, then we have a word.
Yes.
What's the word, Kent?
Kaboom!
So if one of us starts leaning towards that way, because the whole point of the show is you chose it, listener. We have to defend Michael Bay. So
Joel, will you start us off with a little bit of history?
a little bit of history.
Not that bad.
Michael Benjamin Bay was born February 17th, 1965. He was raised Jewish, and as a boy, he donated his bar mitzvah money to an animal shelter. His mom was a child psychiatrist, and his dad was a CPA. These are the things I just kind of
love this.
It's just fun, interesting things. Michael Bay often traces his action films, like his love for action films, back to when he used to light firecrackers on a toy train and film it on an 8mm camera.
That makes so much sense.
Does his cousin Susan Bay is the widow of Star Trek actor Leonard Nimoy.
What?
Wow.
So he's got a Star Trek connection there too. I'm surprised they didn't have him do the Star Trek movies because they love solar flares. Was that a kaboom? That was kind of
that was more of a
bash on
J.J. Abrams slam.
Yeah. Okay. And then he went to film school. He majored in English and film, which I honestly felt a kinship to because I majored in film, or majored in English and minored in film.
And you were a pyro as a child.
That too. That's another thing. Now, Michael Bay actually, after this, he got to start doing commercials and music videos. Like he worked on ads for Coca-Cola, Red Cross, and then he also did a lot of the Got Milk ad campaigns.
I did not know that.
That was him. And if you watch them again, you're like, they got the same kind of, cinematic look, that fisheye lens and things like that. I don't know. It's weird to look back.
Is there
at
a
that.
low angle slow mo 360 rotation?
There could be.
There should be.
That was my band's name in college, by the way.
Try to repeat that.
Slow motion, low angle, 360
Rotation.
I almost got it.
That was pretty good.
We just call ourselves.
You guys rocked.
Oh yeah, we were awesome. We mostly just played percussion, but
Sure.
it's like a stomp thing. But then he started. He also did ads for Victoria's Secret, Lexus, Budweiser, Reebok, Mercedes-Benz, and Nike. This guy got a ton of awards for commercials because he's really good at propaganda.
Yeah, that's true. And do you want to talk a little bit about the music videos
You will
he's
like
done?
it.
Yeah,
Or
well, we'll
else.
get into that because then he got his film. He got his start. I actually jumped ahead because he got his start in the film industry by doing storyboards for Raiders of the Lost Ark, which
How
we
cool
talked
is
about in
that?
the Indiana Jones show, or not the Indiana Jones, Steven Spielberg show. But he thought that it was going to be terrible. He was doing the storyboards and he's like, this movie's going to be terrible. And then he saw it and decided, no, this was good, and this is what I want to do: film.
Wait, which Indiana Jones?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
He would have been like 16.
So
It's Wikipedia source of all knowledge and truth.
we can blame Steven Spielberg for Michael Bay. In fact, I think we should.
Kaboom!
Oh,
You
yes.
cannot blame. This is a defense show.
You like Michael Bay here.
Okay.
Do we have to go that far? Just because look,
Like is in quotes.
I'm saying if I'm a lawyer, I don't have to like the defendant. I just have to defend
defend him.
the defendant.
It's your job.
Yeah, it's my job. Doesn't mean I have to like it. He also directed a bunch of music videos.
Yeah.
And I'm talking big names here, like Donny Osmond, Vanilla Ice, Richard Marx, Chicago, Styx, Young MC, Tina Turner, Lionel Richie, Meatloaf, Wilson Phillips, Faith Hill, and Aerosmith.
And these were like major music videos too. These weren't just like B-sides or anything.
No. Like it's pretty impressive, some of the music videos that he's done. Yeah. So Michael Bay lives in Miami with his 3 Mastiffs, Rebel, Bumblebee, and Nitro Zeus.
And only one of those is named after a Transformer, I think.
Yeah.
Not Nitro Zeus, huh?
No, they're actually.
That was the one I was
Like
thinking of.
Nitro Zeus, not a band name.
No, Rebel is after Rebel Wilson, I believe.
Stop that.
No, I'm serious because she was in Pain and Gain, And then he named Bumblebee, obviously, after Bumblebee. And then I think Nitro Zeus is a Transformer, if I remember right. I can Google it.
I'm so thrown off by the Rebel Wilson thing.
Yeah.
Who does that?
If you had a Mastiff, wouldn't you name it after Rebel Wilson?
Actually, if I had a dog with weird eyes, I'd probably name it Rebel Wilson.
Maybe he really likes the Pitch Perfect trilogy.
He probably does. He's probably a producer. I mean, he's probably a producer on the first one, which is really entertaining.
And finally, as a backstory, just to give you an idea of who this man is, he owns a $50 million Gulfstream G550 jet, as well as a Bentley, a Range Rover, an Escalade, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, and 2 Camaros from the Transformer franchise.
Do you think his Camaros transform? Because they should.
They should.
Mine would.
But they don't.
I mean, I think he makes enough money that he can make that happen.
Surprised he doesn't own Ferrari.
He makes so much money for making garbage.
Kaboom!
Garbage.
Hey.
No, Garbage Pail Kids movies is what I was going to say.
It's pronounced garbage.
But Joel, as we know, as we'll find out, like Dan sitting across from you, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So let's get into this, shall we?
We really have to do this.
We're going to do this.
Okay.
I want to focus on what he does right. Because, yes, we can be glib about this. We can be smarmy about his career.
You? Smarmy? You? Glib?
At times. But I want to praise the man who brought us these movies. Not praise. I can't. But
you can if you try.
Give credit where
you
credit
gotta try.
is due.
Yes,
right?
and that's exactly it. The points I want to bring up are things that he actually does well.
And once again, I just want to emphasize that Dan is a legitimate Michael Bay fan, self-professed fan.
It's true.
Unironically,
I like Michael Bay movies, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Hi, Dan.
I'm Dan, and I like Michael Bay movies.
But yes, Kent has come up with some categories that we're going to talk about. We've decided that we can't just
We can't just wing it.
Because like if we were sitting here talking about like what we did with Tim Burton or Steven Spielberg, we could be like, oh, this movie, oh, that movie.
Right.
But here we had to give ourselves some structure so we could talk about specific things that he does well.
I want to talk about Bayhem. I want to talk about the spectacle of Michael Bay. Bayhem is a thing, and it's kind of an art. I'm not even saying that ironically. There is a way of filming that is named after him because he is an auteur. And we've talked about auteur before. The definition of auteur, Joel, you know this is true. Let me read the definition.
I know. I'm just having issues.
Joel, Kaboom. Be a little more positive, please.
Bowel issues.
Oh, you're going to go there?
I'm just having stomach issues.
So an auteur, the definition is a filmmaker whose personal influence and artistic control over a movie are so great that the filmmaker is regarded as the author of the movie. And we've seen this before. Like, for example, modern ones would be like Tarantino.
Well, it's like when you see the movie, you're like, oh, this obviously is from so-and-so. Like a Tarantino, right. Like a Wes Anderson, like a Tim Burton.
It's a definite style.
Yeah.
Michael Bay isn't writing most of these movies.
No. He rarely writes.
But it's...
Has he ever written a movie?
Oh, look
He actually has.
Oh.
You have that?
No, but he unmistakably is known for this. Every Michael Bay movie, you know it's Michael Bay, and it seems like it was written by him.
Do you?
Yes.
I seem to recall a conversation just before we started, Kent, when you were talking about Con Air being a Michael Bay movie.
Actually, I think that's a true credit to the man that there are copycats of Michael Bay out there.
You're calling who directed Con Air?
Simon West.
You're calling Simon West a copycat of Michael Bay.
Yes, and I think even later Tony Scott movies are they also steal the style of Michael Bay.
There's similarities. I don't know if I would say steals.
I truly think that like his style is one that people try to copy. In fact, even James Cameron said he tries to reverse engineer Michael Bay movies.
Oh, James Cameron.
That sounds like a slam.
No.
Kaboom.
You're the positive one.
I know.
Dan.
It seemed like a backhanded compliment.
No. And what he means is
what
like,
can I do that's the exact opposite of Michael Bay?
It's kind of weird to have the guy who has the 2 biggest films of all time, but he says Michael Bay movies are almost like such a surefire box office hit. And we'll
James
get there.
Cameron, you're talking about.
Yeah, James Cameron. But he talks about Michael Bay being such a success, he wishes he could just see the formula and rewrite it in his way.
See.
Not that hard.
See.
Well, sure. But
all
Kaboom.
right, you do it.
Kaboom? That was a Kaboom?
It's a Kaboom. This show's going to be so full of Kabooms.
That was a Kaboom.
Well, here's the funny thing is I was looking at this and you're talking about James Cameron and how many movies. By the way, I looked and Michael Bay has not he's not written any of the movies that he's done.
Okay.
So no writing credits, at least on IMDb. But the fact that so he has 57 directing credits on IMDb. only 13 of those are feature films.
Yeah, mostly music videos.
Mostly music videos and short films and commercials and things like that.
He's only been around since '95 directing feature films.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
the weird thing about it. But the dude, we'll get into it. The dude can make money.
Oh yeah,
Even with a small amount of
Hand
actual
over
films.
fist.
but I want to get back into the like cinematography and the Bayhem because, for example, he does the parallax, Dan, which you described.
The Parallax?
Yes, it's called parallax.
Isn't that a character from Green Lantern?
It actually is. It's the big yellow cloud. Nerd points. But that's when the background is moving and the camera pans, background is moving, character stands still but starts looking another way. The camera is below as well. So it's an erratic whip pan,
So it's
low
that
angle circular pan.
Low angle 360.
And the world is swirling epically around the character.
If you want to know a good example of this, it's Bad Boys. It's Bad Boys.
Yes,
when,
Bad Boys.
When Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are standing back to back, and they're like got their guns out, and the camera's just swirling around them in slow motion, and they look. I'll say it. They look awesome.
Yes.
Totally.
It's
and
a
the
very
first one
cool
when
effect.
after they crash the car,
Yeah.
in the very first Bad Boys, and they stand up, and it's that low angle. Nicolas Cage does it in The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do it a lot. Like,
Basically, anytime a transformer transforms, it does it, and it gives me the
swings
chills.
around.
If someone can make Martin Lawrence look epic, then good on you. Like that's worth saving this guy.
What was that? I believe it was Will Smith on a talk show where he was talking about how when he was making that movie, Michael Bay was having him he had him open his shirt as he was running, run with his shirt open.
Okay.
And I think it was something like he felt weird about it, but then they got the shot and he says that's the hero shot. That's going to make you into
That
an action
slow-mo
star.
is super awesome.
And it is. That's the thing. It's like him, his shirt flapping in the wind as he's running. It's like, woo, Will Smith.
Yeah. And he did. Remember, Bad Boys was Will Smith's first big motion picture.
Right.
This is before Independence Day, before Men in Black. This really,
This was
yes,
the first $100 million Will Smith movie.
Yes. He had Fresh Prince and he's well known from that, but this is his
This
big movie
turned
to
him into an
movies.
action star.
Well done, Michael Bay. So also Michael Bay is obsessed with motion and commotion. We've seen this in every movie. And it
Motion
seems
and
like-
commotion.
It seems like it's getting, and I say worse, but maybe more plentiful would be the right thing. The commotion in every shot.
Yeah, he likes visual noise.
Yeah, so he fills the frames with noise and activity, and he moves the camera in a way that accentuates the chaos. In a way, it's almost like a first-person shooter, but because it is creative, and you enter an action scene almost from the side, and you have to walk through it as the action is happening. Very few other action directors, even today, in big budget movies, do this. They kind of just do a standard shot,
Right.
and there's maybe a swirl. But the style this guy puts into each shot is purposeful.
Right.
I feel like I'm writing a love letter to the guy.
It's purposeful, but it also loses some in the chaos. Like in the Transformers, you can.
Now, Joel, are you starting to rant? Because we can rant later.
We're not.
It's easier to
only allowed
follow a
guess.
Michael Bay
Kaboom.
action scene than a Jason Bourne action scene.
Yes. Oh, exactly.
Well, no, but like I said, Michael
Or
Bay.
any scene in a Jason
In fact,
Bourne
I'm going
movie.
to go forward and say the editing in Michael Bay movies. Sadly, this show really made me lose my integrity, which is why I did that intro, because I watched Bad Boys 2 and The Island in the past few days. And I was like, what am I doing here? But at the same time, I'm like, the editing, the scene to scene is actually fantastic in these movies. He structures a scene and everything is purposeful, like I said. But no, look, there are negatives and we can get there.
We'll get there.
But if we're comparing it to a Bourne movie,
I'm just waiting for our rant break.
it's clean. It's very clean, and you can follow a scene, and the scale is shown. Clean.
Right, and he does these
Kaboom,
wide.
Joel.
He always does these wide shots.
Just repeating what you
where the action is in one part of the screen, but it's a huge panorama.
Yeah.
they don't. I mean, the camera's stationary, but there's background action moving, and the focus of the scene should be in the front. And I watched a YouTube video. I can't remember the website, but
It's by Tony Zhao. Every frame is a painting, and it's What is Bayhem?
it was a different one.
Oh, is it?
It was like why
I don't
do,
want to reference
Their
it. It was
integrity
a great
really is
video.
it was a why do people like Michael Bay movies, and it was because he knows how to frame a shot.
He does.
Oh, he does. Okay, so looking at his music videos, you can see where he got this from, because music videos is all about making something look beautiful when it's just a person singing.
Right.
And so he's able to take these pictures and turn them into these kind of big moments.
Yes.
I feel like we're not talking about the biggest thing, though.
That he does well.
The thing that Michael Bay does well and does a lot of.
Ooh, can I guess?
Go for it.
He makes stuff blow up real good.
Explosions. It's explosions.
Explosions. It's just explosions.
Explosions. But I feel like he does these huge fireball explosions. These aren't the realistic concussive wave, just kind of shuddering things. This is a Hollywood explosion. Like when a car explodes on The Rock, it's basically the gas tank has to be 50% of the car because those things go up in a ball of flames.
Like when the trolley runs over the Ferrari.
Yes.
Yes.
But
Kaboom!
I was
And the
no.
trolley goes 50 feet vertical
Yes.
from a Ferrari.
No. I'm going to jump on that and say what he does well, because everything is so CG. But the effects and the explosions he puts in,
They're practical.
they're practical.
Yes.
He does real, and you can
Makes
tell
a
they're real
difference.
explosions. It does.
You can feel the heat. It's like being in the backdraft set.
And that's why
at Universal
and
Studios.
This is me
Yeah.
being positive. I'm not being ironic here. This is me being positive. He did a commercial for was it DirecTV?
Yes.
But he's like, I'm Michael Bay, and I like everything awesome. Awesome barbecue, and he hits a button and the barbecue
Yes,
explodes.
I
and everything.
remember that.
Awesome pool, and he hits the button and the pool blows up.
He's in on the joke.
And that's what I was like, bravo. You know, the fact that you can laugh at yourself in your giant mansion full of money is a great thing. So explosions, camera work, editing, the guy can paint a scene, and he can paint an action scene in particular. Like, and I will agree with you that Jason Bourne, those are quick cuts, real. It's hard to tell who's fighting whom. It's just, the cool things are happening.
Right.
Like you almost have to put it together in your head because it's so quick. Whereas Michael Bay, the way he does action, you're getting slow motion, you're getting really cool shots, you're getting maybe emotional high points as it's going
Yes.
through.
He's good at emotional high points.
He knows what he knows what he wants you to feel, and he makes you feel how he wants.
So I have a quote from him, which actually he sums up his career, which he knows what his career is, and we'll get there. But he loves musicals. And he was talking about West Side Story, and he said, and think about his career and his movies now as he says this. What I remember about this movie, West Side Story, is that you don't necessarily fall in love with the actors or the love story. It's more about the style and the dance and the energy and the amazing music. So he's saying the composition of the movie is more important than this Romeo and Juliet story that we've all seen before, because
to
it's
live
so
in
wonderfully put
America.
together. And you can tell, and I'm not...
I would love to see West Side Story directed by Michael Bay.
Oh man, that would be sweet.
So would he. I think he cares less about the story and the characters, and he wants to paint a picture that's going to bring you in and show you something that you'll never see in daily life.
The guy chooses beautiful people, or puts beautiful people in beautiful colors doing beautiful things. And I
Yeah.
say that because you watch like The Island, and it's just, the movie
Is underrated.
Is underrated.
It's his
not
most
the word
underrated
I would
movie.
have chosen, but
For his movie
Joel,
filmography. It's his
I'll get
underrated
into
movie.
it.
All right. We'll get there.
But
Do you have a whole section dedicated to the island?
I kind of do.
Okay.
But I just feel like it's a beautiful movie. Like you watch, you're like, wow, that is really cool looking. Like the one you'd want to watch on a 4K TV in Costco for a while and be like, woo, that's pretty.
Guys, can I rant?
Okay,
Just
we're
for
gonna
a
rant.
little
Okay,
bit? Please.
2-minute rant. Okay,
Go. Start the stopwatch.
Unbelievable. Like, we talk about how he frames shots, right? And you can tell what's going on in scenes. So, like, we even compared it to Bourne. But when two gray Transformers are fighting each other, you don't know who's who.
No,
you don't care
that's
who's
okay.
who.
In the original cartoon, you could see where the parts were moving when a Transformer transformed.
Yes.
You could imagine how you would do it when you got the toy and were able to do it. But with Michael Bay, it's just this kind of mess of metal twisting around each other, and that's how they transform. There's no physics or logic involved.
I do love the low-angle camera whip, but you know what? When he does it every single movie, even in his quiet movies, like, what's the point? Someone is looking into the sunset, and it's not a hero shot. It's The Rock.
Every shot is a
working
hero
out.
shot with him. Every shot is
He
a hero
can't
shot.
help himself. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. He just can't help himself.
It's just because that's all he knows. He's a music video director. This is all he knows.
And it's awesome.
No, this is rant time. This is my time.
I'm sorry.
This is my time
This
down
is
here.
Joel's time, even though he hasn't been positive for 1 second.
I have been. I talked about the commercial. All right, let's get back into it.
That felt good. Joel?
It did.
Finger boop?
Finger boop.
Boop, boop.
That was a weird finger boop.
Yeah, we just kind of
we
touched
go.
the sides of fingers on
That's
that one.
weird.
It's tender.
All right, Kent, what's our next defensive category that we have to defend Michael Bay on?
He casts his movies incredibly well,
He's worked with a lot of big actors and actresses.
and they like to work with him.
Some of them do.
Oh, look, okay.
Hey, Megan Fox liked it at the beginning, I guess.
No,
I
she
think we
actually-
all liked Megan Fox at the beginning. Wait, what?
Oh.
Wait, what?
I was going to say something about the end, but I'm going to leave it there.
Family friendly.
Family friendly. I'll family friendly myself on that one. Megan Fox actually was really upset with him and then apologized, and then she was cast in Ninja Turtles later. So she knew she was speaking out of turn and kind of killed her career on that one.
He didn't direct Ninja Turtles.
He produced it, though.
Right, but he may not have been on set.
So good casting. So I think he does stellar matches with his roles from lead to supporting characters. And he always has like a pretty face, but then he gets character actors to be in the background.
Like John Turturro,
John Voight,
Steve Buscemi,
David Morris, Steve
Buscemi.
Buscemi for sure.
Yeah.
Michael Clark Duncan, Owen Wilson.
James Badge
Oh,
Dale.
yeah.
Armageddon.
I forget
James
he's in
Badge Dale in 13 Hours.
Wait, who's that?
He was like the best friend of John Krasinski.
But has he been in anything else?
Yeah, he's been in
Iron Man 3.
He was in Lone Ranger, Iron Man 3. He's
He's a character actor.
He was in the Pacific. If you saw the Pacific,
Yeah.
he was like one of the main guys in that.
Frances McDormand, Oscar winner. She was in Transformers: Age of Extinction.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
That's right.
Oh, we got Anthony Hopkins too.
So here's the thing. He surrounds the pretty boys with unusual suspects, and they're just gifted. So, for example, we have Nicolas Cage. He made Nicolas Cage cool for a little bit.
He made him an action star.
and put him with Sean Connery.
I know that
was awesome.
that is cool casting. Like
Way cool.
It's like and it felt like
And
the
it
action hero of the past meeting up with the action hero of the quote unquote future and putting them together and,
Yes.
and this handing off the baton, and it worked.
And the way Sean Connery, like, you believed that he could have escaped Alcatraz.
Yes.
Nice.
What's the song from Darby O'Gill?
I don't remember
she
the
is
song.
my dear, my darling, one her eyes so sparkling full of fun. That one.
Yes, I miss
Yeah.
that so much. But look at Armageddon. So Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, Billy Bob Thornton, Liv Tyler, Will Patton, William Fichtner, Owen Wilson, Michael Clark Duncan, Peter
William
Stormare.
Fichtner. He's a great character actor.
That cast was amazing.
Is it Fichtner?
Fichtner, I think.
Huh. I always said Fincher for some reason.
Yeah, I call it
That's the
Fichtner.
director.
We all
Yeah.
yes. Do we need to get into Pearl Harbor? Do we need to?
We need
I
to.
like Pearl Harbor.
Okay, so the thing is, Pearl Harbor starred Kate Beckinsale,
Yes, it did.
and we like Kate Beckinsale.
We do. We love her.
Love Kate
I feel like this is
Beckinsale.
probably the movie where you guys discovered Kate
It's the
Beckinsale.
movie
No.
where most people discovered her.
Yeah, I would say
I didn't
I would
see it.
say the majority.
I didn't see it until a while after. So I actually ended up watching it because Kate Beckinsale was
I
in
mean,
it.
like we talked about Much Ado About Nothing being, a big
Oh,
breakout
yeah, I
movie
forgot
for
about
her.
that one.
But this is the movie where people noticed Kate Beckinsale. She
Yeah,
did a
they did.
few British films and whatnot. But I mean, that movie had like Michael Shannon, Alec Baldwin, Cuba Gooding Jr. back when he was an actor, Jennifer Garner. But I mean, like Transformers has Stanley Tucci, Kelsey Grammer, Anthony Hopkins, like we talked about. John Turturro, who is a great actor in a silly, silly role. And he's totally fine signing up for that because he knows it's a Michael Bay movie. Isn't that crazy? These great actors. Mm-hmm. What do you want a kaboom? What's going on here?
I'll wait for the rant break.
Do you not think that he's good at casting ensembles?
Just had one.
I think he's worked with a lot of people.
No, people that are willing to work with him.
How many have you worked with?
All of them.
Oh,
I want to talk about who he helped launch the career of as far as like big movies go. So Will Smith,
Yeah, he turned Will Smith into an action star.
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. I mean,
launched his career.
Well, I mean,
Sorry, Kevin Smith is a
Good Will
buddy.
Hunting. Good Will Hunting was a very breakout role for him.
Yes.
But between Armageddon and Pearl Harbor, Ben Affleck was in both of those. I think that kind of cemented him as like this romantic
Yes.
lead type.
Shia LaBeouf.
Definitely.
Shia LaBeouf.
Or should I say no?
Exactly. Kate Beckinsale. And to a lesser extent.
We cannot.
And to a much lesser extent. Yeah, we have him to thank Kate Beckinsale for. We do, Joel. The fact that she was probably put in an underworld just because of the Pearl Harbor. And we should thank him for this. And then to a lesser extent, Megan Fox. Mm-hmm. Joel?
I would say
Megan Fox.
he definitely made Megan Fox's career.
Megan
for
Fox
example,
is beautiful. I agree.
one thing I have not talked about is 13 Hours.
Yes, that's exactly what we said.
Yeah, with John Krasinski.
So 13 Hours was this ensemble of just relatively unknown actors, except for a few like TV faces and
Except for
whatnot.
Roy and Jim.
Yes, which was very interesting. But I went to ShowtimeShowdown.com and looked at my review of 13 Hours. And one thing that I made it, and by the way, I actually really like the movie. Really like it.
It's well done. Like it
Really
doesn't-
liked it for you, or really liked it in
doesn't
general?
feel like a Michael Bay movie.
My whole review is, I want to hate this. It's Michael Bay. Oh my gosh, this is a great movie. I give it a B+. I think.
We'll get into that.
Wow,
But I said,
that's fantastic.
the success of 13 Hours is the overall use of the ensemble. Each ranger is important. Character development may not be key in this movie because it's 13 hours, because it's only shot in a few days after all. But what makes it work is each character has a purpose. It feels as if you're watching the relationship of a true brotherhood. And I feel like that's what Michael Bay was able to capture in that movie. If no other movie.
But it didn't feel like a Michael Bay movie. It was much
Except it
smaller.
did because
it didn't.
of
It was
the-
smaller.
Because you're right, it is a smaller movie. and it was a lot more personal. But the way it was shot was still very Michael Bay.
In some parts. Like some parts, I was like, did he take the day off?
A lot of explosions, a lot of lens flares, and cameras filming from below.
And some super cool slow-mo.
Kaboom. That sounded sarcastic to me.
No,
that was
super-
like for real.
Dang it.
Joel, you got some rants. Dan.
If I may,
yes,
Please, Dan.
I fully acknowledge that these movies are silly overall, but I like them. I think it's fun, and I'm there to be entertained, and he fills the ticket.
We'll get into that.
We will, but just before for all my
Like right now, we're just casting.
all my comments where I agree that something is bad is because I'm not naive in that way.
Yeah.
It's completely other ways that I'm naive.
Yeah.
Joel,
Are we into our rant?
go.
Okay, rant break. Okay, so the thing about Michael Bay is that, first of all, a lot of these people have spoken out against him. Like Megan Fox did, obviously. We talked about Kate Beckinsale, talked about how he was a jerk to her and told her she needed to lose weight in order to fill her role.
How dare you, Michael Bay?
I know.
How dare you,
so
Michael
it
Bay?
gets me all bugged. And then like I get sad, Kent, when I see Anthony Hopkins and John Goodman as Transformers or in the Transformers movie.
But they're clearly having the time of their lives.
No, they're not.
They are. Anthony Hopkins, I think has a little bit of dementia. He's at this point. He has to. Did you see that role?
I did. That's okay. Well, I'll talk about it. But I saw that
And
Transformers
Mr.
movie.
Carson, the butler from Downton Abbey.
Oh, it
Yes.
makes me sad.
Actually-
every time I see these people slumming it up in the Transformers movie, I feel sad.
I'll say this. I think he was great in the 90s at casting, and I think now he's kind of lost the plot. Yes, he gets big actors to do Transformers movies, and that's all he's really done from the mid-2000s till now.
No.
But I wish he went back to getting someone like a Sean Connery.
Do you know why people
Or
are
like
doing
the
his
cast
movies
of
though?
Armageddon, which was fantastic.
yeah.
Do you know why?
You'll never get a cast like Armageddon ever again.
He's getting. You know why he's getting these actors?
Why?
Because it's sure money. It's a good paycheck. Because
true.
they know that going in.
For example, like I will defend...
His money's green and cash is just the same.
Yeah.
I will defend Megan Fox because I like her. But when she left the second movie, you know what he did? Shia LaBeouf needs a really hot girlfriend. I'm going to get a
Victoria's Secret model.
And that will replace Megan Fox. I'm like, you're not really trying here
No.
to find an actress. Like, what are you doing?
Well, she did a great job in that movie, didn't
Did she?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see that one?
We'll get into it.
Do you want to rant about Shia LaBeouf? Because I will
We'll
say...
get into it. What are we waiting for?
You can rant. We're in rant period. You can rant about whatever you want.
But I will say in the first movie, I liked him. I thought he was great for the role. And then, wow, why did they make any other movie after that? But
Yeah.
it's not all on Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah. All right.
Are we good? Rant over?
Yeah, good. I feel better now. Okay. Every now and then, it gets to the point where I just need to vent.
You were like bottling up that entire last segment.
I did.
That vein really comes out of your forehead when you do that too.
It's because of the Oreo shake. Next category, Kent. What are we talking about? Next section, I should say.
The commercial success of Michael Bay. In this, we cannot dispute. He knows how to put butts in seats.
Well, it was a success in music videos that actually got Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson, two producers, attention and got him to direct his first feature film, which was Bad Boys. A lot of people don't know that was his first feature film, and he hit it out of the park.
It was good.
on that first one.
Except Leone, she's awful.
What?
But that's my
disagree.
own thing.
No,
That was her
really,
heyday.
No, I was going to say I really like her in that movie.
That was the worst part of that movie
I
was Tia
love Tia
Leone.
Kaboom. Kaboom. Be a little bit more positive.
Defensive. Come on,
Hey,
Dan.
I love the movie.
Save it
I
for the
hated
rant.
her.
Save it for the rant.
The
All right.
movie cost $19 million to make.
No way.
Just $19 million. It made $141 million at the box office in the summer of 1995.
This is only the beginning of Bay.
No, because then, okay,
I'm calling him Bay, by the way.
Yeah, but my Bay, Michael Bay.
Not to be confused with Queen Bay.
No.
But
Bay.
okay, so
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
a lot of people forget that his first three movies were legitimately good and very, very successful. Meaning his follow-up film after Bad Boys was The Rock, 1996. Now, yes, this is a cheesy action movie, but in 1996, that's what we wanted.
And I'm
was
sorry.
cheesy action movies.
It's a staple.
It is a staple.
And he made this one, so Bad Boys was 19 million. This one, the production budget was 75 million. So this was, substantially higher.
Right.
And more money for this
That's
one.
a lot of, that's in 90s money, that's big money.
But it also grossed over $335 million at the box office.
Yeah.
So he got more
And the
money.
100 million
he
was
made
like
more
the
money.
apex. Or
Yes.
that was the goal in the
that
90s
crazy?
was
So
100
He's
million.
raking it in. And then he follows up with 1998's Armageddon, which was nominated for 4 Oscars. Academy Awards were acknowledging Michael Bay. Best sound, best visual effects, best sound editing, and best original song. And Armageddon went on to gross $553 million. Each movie is making substantially more than the one behind it. The guy was on fire. Then you get Pearl Harbor.
Okay, 2001.
2001, you get Pearl Harbor. Also received 4 Academy Award nominations: Best Sound, Best Visual Effects, Best Sound Editing, and it won
Best Squinty Eyes by Josh Hartnett.
Actually, I went to lucky number 11 on that one.
Oh,
You got
okay.
that one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
No, here's the thing: is Pearl Harbor won Best Sound Editing, making it Bay's first and only film to ever win an Oscar. Pearl Harbor won an Oscar.
So did Suicide Squad.
Does that mean it won it over like Lord of the Rings? Because weren't they the same year?
2001, probably so.
What?
Man, I'm going to have to look that up now.
But it's sound editing,
You two talk.
honestly.
Take that, Lord of the Rings.
I will say, wow.
Not that I don't love
Shame
Lord of the
on you.
Rings.
I will actually say Pearl Harbor deserved it in that case for sound editing.
No, okay.
That movie did a lot of things right.
No, it did one thing very right, and that was the attack sequence. That was thrilling. That was a very, very kind of amazing attack sequence.
Yeah. Listen, I'm telling you, this Michael Bay movie isn't that bad.
I will actually just keep moving because Bad Boys 2 is his next movie. It's 2003. It was made for $130 million, so a much bigger budget than the first movie, but it made $273 million.
And that's my least favorite Michael Bay.
By the way,
Yes.
so there were apparently it's a new category. Well, no, it's not a new category.
Is that the
but-
year they divided sound and put it to mixing and editing?
Well, they just only have 2 nominees.
What? So it's like makeup and hairstyling?
It was Pearl Harbor and Monsters, Inc. for Best Sound Editing.
Oh.
Are you looking at the Oscars website?
I'm looking at Wikipedia.
No, Joel.
The next year
won that year.
The next year, Lord of the Rings: Two Towers won against Minority Report and Road to Perdition. But yeah, Pearl Harbor won over
That's an easy
Monsters,
win
Inc.
right there.
Right.
I guess.
Okay, so Joel, I know you want to talk. The movie after Bad Boys 2 was
The Island.
So yeah,
I didn't even have to look it up. I knew it.
Dan, the movie man over here.
I can't say it until the rant section.
Okay, The Island was made for $126 million, so also a big budget. This is his first flop.
Yep.
It made worldwide $162 million, which many people see it as a profit.
Against
but
the budget of
studio
what?
does not.
Nope.
126 and 162.
I think it made like 60 million at the domestic box office.
Yes, it did not make much here. Worldwide, it did a lot better.
Yeah,
But
and that's
not
just it.
good
It's like,
enough.
as we've said before, it usually needs to double the production budget for a movie to be considered successful.
Yes.
So yeah, what you guys can talk about The Island.
Are we talking about The Island now?
No, we'll get into it.
Why don't you have why don't you have your quote unquote rant?
No, oh,
and
yeah,
then
we're not through
I'll
the
tell
section.
you.
We're not to the commercial success section yet, because we get through there, and then
Transformers.
2007, he teams up with Steven Spielberg
Yes.
to produce Transformers, which, if you've forgotten, was based on a childhood cartoon from the 80s.
When it says Hasbro up on the opening screen, you're like, huh?
Yes.
Where am I?
But Transformers.
And then it transformed into that sweet logo.
Yeah, it did.
And here's what.
Kaboom?
No, because I want to say this. This is actually in defense of Michael Bay. People only think of him as the loud, noisy Transformers guy. But the truth is, you look at this, and with movies like Bad Boys, The Rock, Armageddon, even Pearl Harbor and The Island, that's half of his movies right there and have nothing to do with Transformers.
Nope.
But yet we think of him as the loud, noisy Transformers guy because Transformers launched a franchise of terrible movies.
Kaboom.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Nothing. I was happy.
Tell us how much each of these movies made, Joel.
I can get into that. I want to just bring up this here.
If I may quote Mr. Bay in defense of his movies is, it doesn't matter what you think because they'll make $1 billion.
It's true. His movies altogether have grossed him worldwide almost $7 billion.
He's actually the youngest director ever to break the 1 billion mark.
He is
Really?
the third most commercially successful director in history. Do you guys want to give a guess as to who's number 2 and number 1?
Oh, James Cameron is number 1.
James Cameron's number 1.
Number 2 is Joss Whedon.
So close.
Who?
Spielberg.
Number 1. Oh, okay, I'll just go through this.
Okay.
Number 10, Ridley Scott.
Okay.
Number 9, Christopher Columbus. Number 8, Tim Burton.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, that Chris Columbus.
Yes, yeah.
My goodness.
Harry Potter, Chris
1492.
Columbus.
Chris Columbus, yeah, sorry.
Christopher Columbus.
Number 8, Tim Burton. Number 7, Robert Zemeckis. Number
Makes sense.
6, Christopher Nolan, Kent.
Oh, yeah.
Number 5, David Yates, who did a lot of the Harry Potters.
Yes.
Number,
Wow.
I guess we probably should
David
clarify
Yates
what
is so
we should have
standard.
clarified what all these people do.
Yes.
But yeah, number 4, James Cameron,
Oh, he's number 4.
Titanic and Avatar, two of the
Because he
highest
only has a
grossing
few
in the
movies.
world.
Right.
That was the first movie to make $1 billion.
Number 3, Michael Bay. Number 2, Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings
Makes
series.
sense.
Yeah.
And number 1, Steven Spielberg.
I told you, Spielberg.
Yeah. Like he's seriously, I mean, he's only directed 13 movies. 13 movies, and he's made almost $7 billion. You guys want to guess what Michael Bay's highest grossing movie is?
I know it.
Transformers:
So-
Revenge of the Fallen. Oh no, worldwide it's probably The Last Night.
No. You're close, though. Transformers Dark of the Moon, which was the 4th one?
Yeah, third one.
Third one? 1.1 billion. 1.1 billion. Just that movie alone. Against
for
the budget
under
of
200 million.
Yeah, for 195 million. His least successful, you want to guess that? Least monetarily successful.
The Island.
13 hours. Only 69 million against
Isn't
the
that
budget of
crazy?
50 million. And Kent, did you know that he produced A Quiet Place?
Yeah. He actually is, and that's
Platinum Dunes is
it's
his
actually
company.
It's a pro and con. Platinum Dunes, they do basically a lot of horror remakes or something.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
responsible
they did-
for all those crap
they
fests.
did the Texas Chainsaw remake.
Kaboom! Actually, yes. On the plus side, they are responsible for the Texas Chainsaw remake.
That's not a plus for
I
me.
honestly think it is the Jessica Biel one, and I like that movie. I really like that movie, and A Quiet Place. Granted, they also did the Friday the 13th movie, which came out 4 years ago, which was terrible. And I would say they're 1 for 10 as far as their movies go. But A Quiet Place is one of my favorite movies of the year.
Well,
Yes.
and
and
thanks
they're
to Platinum
also
Dunes financing that.
And also, speaking of John Krasinski, Platinum Dunes, Michael Bay's production company, is creating the Jack Ryan series on Amazon.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, good job, John Krasinski, tying your
John Krasinski.
Yeah. So it seems like you don't. When do you want to talk about the island? Because I want to talk about the island. Are we saving it?
We'll talk about the island.
What is that? Your least favorite?
No.
Can
You don't know what the rant is yet.
All right.
Are you
But-
ready for a rant?
Do we have a rant break? Are we getting? Oh, we're done with the section. Yes. Can we have a rant break?
Rant break.
Okay, so the rant break is this. The guy makes a ton of money, but I don't know who's going to see these movies because I don't okay, I've seen a lot of his movies. We'll get into that a little later on. But I haven't. I've only seen the first and the last Transformers movies. I haven't seen any in the middle because I find them to be tiresome and annoying and not the Transformers of my childhood. And I don't really know if I've seen The Island because I've seen parts, the Clonus horror from Mystery Science Theater.
Yes.
And The Island is a complete and utter ripoff of parts of the Clonus horror. And so I'm like, have I seen the entire movie, or am I just piecing in parts of the Clonus horror into this other movie? So I don't even know. I don't even know if I've seen it because it's just pointless noise.
Joel, you asked who sees these movies. I have 3 words for you: slack-jawed yokels.
But we have also seen them, Kent. You've probably seen all of them.
I have seen all of these movies. Never happy about it. They are actually not screened for critics because, and I mean the Transformers movies.
because they're critic proof.
Do they
Because-
need to be?
Well, they're not critic proof anymore because the 3rd and 4th movie made $1.1 billion each. The Last Night only made just above $600
Because
million.
it was awful.
But here's the thing: Michael Bay is still a big success, even though Pain and Gain didn't make very much money. That was also it's kind of like an indie movie for him, which was kind of weird.
Right.
But he is not making the money he used to make, even though he's trying to go for an international audience.
But
he
he's so
actually
rich-
panders in his Transformers movies to China, hoping to make a ton of money.
Totally. But
Yes.
we can get into that in our next section, in our
Okay.
next rant, in the next
Yes.
section. Kent, what's the next section?
The next section is
Okay, back to defense.
in defense of this guy. He knows his audience. He's in on the joke,
Totally.
and he knows his audience.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can I read a quote here? that I
Absolutely.
liked? So they were asking him about why he's poorly received by critics, and he's often his name is like pejorative, like the Nickelback of directors, kind of thing like that.
Right.
And he responded by saying, "I make movies for teenage boys. Oh dear, what a crime!"
Great.
Because I'm telling you what, as a teenage boy, The Rock was awesome.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it was so much fun. Bad Boys was so much fun. Although I saw that one as an adult. And I wonder if I were a teenage boy now, if I would be liking these Transformer movies.
You would.
Because like
You
I said,
would.
I didn't see 2, 3, or 4. How many are there?
There are 5.
Yeah, I didn't see 2, 3, or 4.
Well, here's the thing. I think he's running off of fumes in the Transformers series. Dan, I don't know if you'd agree with this or not.
I would.
But I will say Transformers, when I was 26 when I saw that movie, and I said, wow, how dumb. Yes, I wanted to see this movie when I was 10, but it's 2007 and I don't care. And then I saw the movie and I was like, wow, good job, Michael Bay. I had no idea a Transformers movie could be good. Granted, the replayability hasn't really lasted. But it's the best Transformers movie by far.
Right.
Which one?
Transformers
The
1.
first one.
Oh,
Which is easy to say, obviously. But he has a great formula in that movie of comedy, which is sometimes inappropriate, but it's funny. The action is cool.
You mean juvenile?
It's juvenile, yes.
Kaboom,
But
Kent.
he knows his audience. That's what we're getting back to.
I think he really captured the wonder of like, what if your car could do that?
And he showed us scenes of
I'm
Transformers.
okay with that, but I've never wondered what a car looks like when it pees on something.
You see, no, obviously,
In
that a
defense
Kaboom?
of Kaboom.
no, it's lame. Like we can just agree that's lame, right?
No, we can't. We're defending the guy. Kaboom.
But you see a Camaro and a Mustang fight in this movie, and you're like, they race and fight. And
I
you're like,
saw that at the demolition derby.
no, they don't.
They
turn into
weren't
giant
standing up
robots.
on two legs.
The Weaver County one, they do.
And he made, and whether it's teenage boys or 10-year-olds, he made Optimus Prime real. He put in real sound effects. He made this for fans of Transformers, and
And he made the genius move of having Peter Cullen voice him.
yes.
That, yes. Everything he said, no. That, yes.
No, I'm sorry. He gave us the sounds. He gave us the canon. He gave us all
He
the
did
mythology.
not give us the sounds.
Yes, he did.
Oh yeah,
No.
that is
He didn't
in
give us
every
that.
movie.
No,
but he
it's
put
like
it in there
once.
and it
It's
made
like
it awesome.
once.
I've heard it 3 times at least in each movie.
Yes. Joel, come on.
Watch it with headphones.
Kaboom! Stop it. You're not the prosecution here. You're a defense lawyer, and you're doing a terrible job.
That's why I didn't go into law.
Joel, this is not a versus show. We're trying to help him out here.
I know. I'm sorry.
There's a firing squad just outside.
It's rigged with extra explosions.
If you're a
bring up the
Transformers fan, in fact, I talked to Blake Densley, Blake's Barbershop, by the way, and he is a huge Transformers fan. Granted, he's a little disappointed
Wait,
with
original cartoon Transformers fan?
cartoon comics, continuing stories, and novelizations, right? But he says for what you wanted to see, and you never cared about the people in the Transformers cartoon, you just want to see the robots fighting and punching each other. And this movie is that, with juvenile humor, but it is exactly what you want. And that's why this series is so successful.
And he gave it the scale. So like you feel so tiny. Seeing how tall the robots were next to the humans, it was cool.
Joel, before you rant,
It
because
was
you're about to
cool.
explode, another quote he says.
That vein's popping again.
Critics came after him for the Transformers movies, and he says, I really, really don't care. For instance,
That's what I was mentioning earlier.
yes. For instance, you look at the box office returns, break it down, and you see that 120 million people went to see Transformers 3. So 500 critics are not going to take the fun out of it for me. I make movies for people. I make movies for audiences to enjoy. A few sour apples are not going to spoil my fun. As a critic, I'm like, I take a little bit of offense at that.
It's
but
funny,
he
though.
knows that he doesn't need me.
No, it's funny. It's funny that he is like, he's like, I don't care what the critics say. Like he feels like one of those jocks that kind of like, I know, I'm hot stuff. I don't care what you say.
Right.
In fact, he was a jock in Mystery Men. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, I don't. No.
Yeah, when they're meeting around the table in Mystery Men, he's the group of the jocks that's in there. Is
Makes sense.
Oh, Frankenstein Casanova is like giving his evil plot. But you talked about formulas, Ken, and he knows his formulas.
Yes.
He knows he's going to do the slow motion shot. He knows he's going to do the big explosion. He knows he's going to have the beautiful women and the beautiful men doing beautiful things. And he knows that's what works and that's what people want. That's what those people want to see. So he knows his audience.
Yes, and it's teenage boys. And I'm sorry. We are in a culture now where there's a big blockbuster every month, and they are pandering to the lowest common denominator. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean people want to see the same sort of formula. And that's what they're going to pay to see $1 billion for Avengers
It's
for.
much like the romantic
I think he
comedies.
paved the way for Marvel movies.
I truly agree with that. And so people know the
Kaboom.
No, it's not ironic.
Coming from you, that's a dig.
No, it's not.
Coming from
Marvel
you,
has
it's
a
a dig.
Look at
formula.
his eyes; it's real.
No, Marvel has a formula that works, and I think they borrowed it from Michael Bay.
Kaboom.
That's actually, I'm going to kaboom myself on that one. but no, like I think. Okay, actually, nope. That's my rant. I don't want to get into that unless
Let's just
I
rant then. We're done with this section.
He's ruined blockbusters.
You think he has?
I think he's dumbing down blockbusters to the point where people expect good. When good comes out, they're like, I cried at the end of this movie because it's good. It's not great. You got good and it was better than Michael Bay, so big freaking deal.
I think people would like his movies better if he had better screenwriters.
Don't blame the writers.
I will.
Okay, but Michael
I'm
Bay.
not saying that they're all to
So-
blame, but I think a good script, like you like the first Transformers because it was about a boy in his car, right?
Yes.
Everybody remembers
Right.
their first car. And you're like, oh man, what if my first car
Mine was a
was
piece
like
of
a
HUD.
super old Corvette? and then it turned into an awesome
Minus
Transformer.
a Ford Aerostar.
Nice. Mine's a Toyota Tercel.
81 Cadillac Fleetwood with a velvet interior.
What if that transformed?
Exactly.
Mine would still be a Pizza Hut.
Okay, we're ranting though. We're not being nostalgic here.
No. Okay, so you can't blame it on the writers because Michael Bay is known for these what they call high concept movies, which means it can be explained very simply. Like you can just do it in one sentence, tell you what the whole movie's about, as opposed to like low concept movies where it's much more intricate and it's about character development. But oh man, Kent, Transformers fans do not like Transformers movies because they took our childhood and they messed it up. I don't want to see Optimus Prime's face. I want to see a face shield the entire time. That's Optimus Prime. I don't want to see Optimus Prime's lips. That's just weird. All right? This was a terrible, terrible franchise, and that's why I've only seen the first one.
Fan agrees with you,
and
Joel.
the only reason I watched the last one is because Clearplay asked me to review it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have watched any since the first one.
See, you went from like the best Transformers movie to the bottom of the barrel.
That one really is the least. It's got
so
amazing effects, but
bad.
it was not good.
I actually think that Michael Bay's biggest flop was The Island because he didn't make it for the audience he normally makes movies for.
Who did he make it for?
It was a high concept movie with plot twists.
It was.
And it was sure stylized and it looked like a Michael Bay movie, and there's a fantastic car chase.
Man, that freeway chase scene is
And
awesome.
we'll talk about that. But he did not make that for teenage boys. He
No,
gave us,
that goes over their heads,
He gave
for
us
sure.
he gave us a Matrix type movie,
But it's
and
still-
that's why, honestly, people weren't familiar and they weren't comfortable with it. Yes,
No. I just
you want to argue about Transformers a little bit more?
No, that felt good to get that out.
because you were bottling that up like crazy.
Just because it drives me nuts. Because like when you were sitting there going, "Oh yeah, Transformers fans, they love the Transformers movies." I'm like,
I didn't say love. I say they are
You
appreciative.
said they want to marry and have the Transformer babies.
They are appreciative of what he took from the comics and the cartoon and brought it into the movies. Because look at video game movies; they change everything, and then fans are never satisfied, and then general audiences aren't satisfied. Michael Bay has the perfect rhythm to bring
and
them all
nobody
together.
goes to see video game movies.
Yes,
No, it's true.
exactly.
But Michael
We're
Bay
back
has
to
a reputation
positivity.
too. Anyway, okay, what's the next section, Kent?
I mean, this is kind of like we can talk about like our favorite scenes or our favorite Michael Bay movies. I know
This
you
is
haven't seen them all.
No,
all the Michael Bay movies.
This is he knows how to make a good movie sometimes. Is this section? Is what you said.
yeah.
So back to the fence mode. Movies I've seen. I've seen Bad Boys, The Rock, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, Bad Boys 2, The Island, maybe? Transformers 13 Hours, and Transformers Last Night. The ones I haven't seen, which surprised me. I thought they made a ton of movies, first of all.
Right.
The only ones I haven't seen is Pain and Gain, which was based on a true story about criminals in Florida or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Transformers 2, 3, or 4. So like basically a Transformers franchise I'm weak on, and then his one random one-off movie. Everything else of his I've seen. The ones I actually like legitimately like, The Rock, Bad Boys, 13 Hours, and Armageddon. And even Armageddon's pushing it. I was more of a Deep Impact kind of guy.
What?
I'm kidding.
Okay.
But those are ones I legitimately like and I legitimately think are fun action movies that may not be deep thinkers, but they're fun action
It's funny though
movies.
that you're talking about his '90s movies at this point.
Yes.
The first 5 years of his career.
Yes.
So Dan, what about you? Have you seen them all?
I've seen all of them except for Pain and Gain.
Not really worth seeing, by the way.
It is
It's not
Yeah,
a
I-
good movie.
Even though Michael Bay named his dog after Rebel Wilson in the movie.
For that reason, I should love the movie. So do you have like a top 3, top 5?
13 Hours is definitely in the top there.
Like number one?
The Rock is number one because
I only borrowed your Humvee.
I like that movie so much. I went to San Francisco on my honeymoon. We watched that movie.
Yeah?
On your honeymoon.
Love you, honey.
On your honeymoon.
I remember
Little bits of Dan trivia.
So I watched The Rock on TV with the edits.
Okay.
And there were so many fun edits when it was just like, that's obviously not what they were saying because they were cutting things out. Winners say they'll try. Losers stay home and date the prom queen.
That's what it said.
That's what it said.
I remember it saying date.
It's a date.
Definitely, The Island is the most underrated and
Yes.
underappreciated.
Okay.
It's better than you think it is, even though Joel hasn't actually taken the time to see it.
I'm 75% sure I've seen it because there's certain things I'm like, I wouldn't have seen that
Joel,
in the
let me
previews.
sell it to you. Gorgeous Scarlett Johansson.
You
Yes.
never say that.
Definitely. That's where that and in
Michael Clark
In
Duncan.
Good Company are
Yes.
the two movies I fell in love with Scarlett Johansson.
Ewan McGregor does a great job in this movie. It is definitely borrowing things from every other movie, but it's
a ripoff of Parts of the Clonus Horror from Mystery Science Theater.
And even the action is a ripoff from Bad Boys 2, but it's still a spectacle. I watched this the other night, and it has like Sean Bean in the movie as the obvious villain, and Steve Buscemi in a scene-stealing role. Like, it is a fun movie.
I think I've seen it. I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Like, for me, it would go number 5, Transformers, actually. I think semi-highly of that movie compared to the rest of his filmography. Then Armageddon. Then The Island.
You put it that high?
Yes.
Wow.
Then 13 Hours, which I think is a very good movie.
It's
a
very straightforward drama, too. It doesn't feel like an action.
Yes. And The Rock, which is, I think of The Rock the same way I do Die Hard. Like, it's almost like a perfect action movie for its time.
Yes. Yes. Like, honestly, it's so
tight.
It's so funny and ridiculous, but man, it's just the pacing.
Yes.
The whole time you're just riding along with him. You're like, this is awesome. And Ed Harris.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so
man,
good.
he was so good in that.
Ed Harris is as the villain.
He was the first villain that wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's like he's got good motivation.
That's the first time I ever remember seeing that trope of, like, you know, it's the
villain with a cause, essentially.
Yes,
like, he believes in what he's doing. He doesn't.
What's his name from Infinity War? Thanos.
The Thanos, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Thanos
already.
ripped off Ed Harris from The Rock.
Kind of, yeah. But it's that whole, he believes he's in the right.
Right.
And I enjoy
And he
that.
doesn't really want to kill anybody.
Do you guys have any favorite scenes from these movies we've talked about?
Yes, I have my top 5. You asked me to do top 5 scenes, so I'm going to do my top 5 scenes. My number 5 is Meatloaf, I Would Do Anything for Love.
Which he directed.
He directed that music video. He directed
That was Michael
That's
Bay.
Michael
No
Bay.
way.
And I was actually really, like, it was one of those music videos as a kid. I was like, what the heck is going on? But it stuck with me. So that's my number 5.
Because he would do that.
My number 4 is the Rock car chase scene when he steals the Humvee and the
was
Ferrari,
awesome.
and he comes flying out of the dealership, and there's the trolley car, and there's explosions. That car chase scene, that's right up there with like the Matrix Reloaded car chase scene,
so
which is
good.
like
I don't
adrenaline
know.
fun.
That Matrix one is the best.
No, I'm not saying it's best. I just compare those two as like great
Dude,
car
I
chase
actually
scenes.
love the Matrix Reloaded car chase scene.
I do too. Like,
I like how
that's-
we're very quick to add car chase scene on the end of there. So we're not, didn't like the movie.
Car chase scene.
Number 3 would be the spinning camera, Bad Boys moment scene when it's like they get out of the car, they got the guns, it's spinning around. It's like, ooh, this is a cool movie. I like how my scenes are like shots, basically.
Yeah.
My number 2 would be the Rock finale with the green glass ball rolling and him trying to grab it, jabbing himself with the syringe,
Yes.
waving the flares
As the
in
jets
the air.
are coming in to drop the bombs.
Yes, like, and then it
And
blows
he-
him off.
It's a
barely
great
doesn't
scene.
get napalmed.
Yeah, like that. It's really thrilling. That whole part is just really fun to watch. And then my number 1,
I hope we agree.
any guesses?
I don't want to ruin mine, so just want to know.
My number 1 is the. We should have gone 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 2,
Yes.
2, 1. But okay, I'll do mine.
Actually, no, save it. Save it.
Okay.
Okay, because I want to go. I want to go.
All right.
So I really love his car chases. I did not include the Rocks, but I did Bad Boys 2.
Okay.
It is a fantastic car chase where they are dropping cars and boats off of a trailer.
That's right.
And Martin Lawrence is like, "Are you seeing this?" Will Smith's like, "They're dropping cars on the freeway. Of course I'm seeing this." And there's some language there, but I'm going to keep it clean. Also, from Pearl Harbor, the sinking of the Oklahoma and Arizona.
I should have
That
put
first
that on
bomb
there.
coming
you
off.
follow the
when it-
bomb.
yes.
Dang it! I
Yes.
completely
And
blocked
Michael
that
Bay
out.
even described that. He's like, "I'm going to put the camera where someone shouldn't believe where a camera could ever follow in real life, but I'm going to put someone there following the bomb."
I'm
The
replacing.
way it raised out of the water on that first explosion.
man.
It gets enough to give you chills.
Yes.
I'm going to insert that at number 3 for me, which means Meatloaf. You're bumped off the top 5.
Oh,
Sorry,
it's a shame. He would do anything.
but
for
not
that.
that.
Not that.
Not that.
And then following the highway car chase from the island, it's very similar to
But
Bad Boys
that's
2.
the motorcycle, right?
That's the end a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But they drop these giant like rolling weights.
They're like axles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Axles for like a tank or something.
And
I
the
have seen it.
The two characters in that, they're so innocent that he doesn't really know what he's doing, that he's causing all this mayhem and death, but that's also Michael Bay.
Michael Bay causes mayhem and death.
Yes.
Bayhem.
I'm going to say this. A Transformers movie has one of the best Michael Bay scenes. It's Transformers 3. There, Joel, this is going to sound so stupid, but
It already does.
There's a snake. There's a snake robot.
Defense.
And so Shia LaBeouf and all his buddies are in a building, and a snake robot is tearing the building apart as they're in it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the building falls. And as it's falling, you see these people sliding through all these office cubicles and barely surviving. Of course, it's a Michael Bay movie, so they have to. But it's an hour-long war scene, and this one stands out because it's terrifying. Just the building falling, and you being part of it.
Okay.
The number 1?
Did we pick the same? We couldn't have picked the same thing. You're not an emotional person. This is an emotional scene.
Oh,
Is it Armageddon? You picked Armageddon.
It's going to be Bruce
You
Willis.
picked
at the end of
Armageddon.
It is. It's Armageddon, the explosion.
That's a great scene.
Did you pick that as your number one?
I did not.
Okay, so I'll go first then because I just told it. Mine is the scene, and I've mentioned this on Baconsale before, but it's the scene when Bruce Willis ends up pushing the button to detonate the bomb on the meteor, and instead of showing this big, giant explosion in that moment, it flashes back to his life before his eyes, and he sees him with his daughter, and it's just this emotional scene where I was like, am I getting emotional in an action movie? And it got me.
Yeah.
And you see Liv Tyler reacting to her dad, being exploded and saving the world, sacrificing himself for them. I had to give that my number one because it's one of the scenes when I went, that legitimately is drama. Like, it's not a
Liv
spectacle.
Tyler's a good actress. She is. She sold that. Like when she's like,
she did.
right before he pushes the button.
She's great
And she
in that
says,
Thing You Do.
and they say goodbye. That was like where it's the emotional.
And
Like,
actually-
Dad, no.
But what'd you choose for your number one?
Not as great as Michael Bay's best scene of all time.
Let's hear it.
Which is truly emotional and very formative for me. When Megan Fox is leaning over the hood.
I knew it was going to be something like that.
Kaboom!
I kid you not. This is Michael Bay's best filmed scene.
No, this can't be your number one.
It is my number one. I didn't actually write it there, but
You did not. It's not on there.
It's a rewrite, Joel.
It's not.
Give me my notes
What's
back.
actually written on there?
Highway car chasing, the island.
Yeah, come on.
That was number one, and he changed it
No,
at the
no,
last
no.
minute.
They're not ranked.
You
because-
can't say Megan Fox. That's not.
I'm
a
sorry.
scene.
No. When that happened,
You can't perv out on the end of Baconsale.
she became a
He was probably invisible.
She became yes.
Yeah, probably so.
She became a megastar from that introductory scene. That was the Bad Boys 2 hero shot. Her leaning over the car hood and knowing how to fix the car.
I'm not even. gonna
That
agree
was
with this.
that was the shot that solidified it all for 15 and 16-year-old boys.
And 26-year-olds. I was like dumbfounded. I think I saw that with my girlfriend at
family
the time.
friendly. Do I have to family friendly this whole last bullet point?
She's no, maybe. But
Boom.
Kaboom.
No, stop.
Kaboom went in my heart. Okay,
It's
terrible.
It's less racy than the sequel,
yes. Which then he
didn't see
where he
glorified a
supposedly
lot.
cheats on Megan Fox.
It's really dumb. Anyways, I don't think we need to rant there because those
That
are
was
just
awful.
good scenes that he's actually
Yeah,
said.
that's legitimate. Like, we're not being ironic there. Like, if you haven't seen those movies, like we've been talking about The Rock for so long. If
Right.
you haven't seen it, look it up if you like action movies because it is nonstop fun.
Yes.
And Bad Boys 2, also a lot of fun. So, like, those are the two that I think we could probably recommend with no hesitation. And 13 hours, too. We've already talked
Yes.
about that.
13 hours.
I want to talk about the influence of Michael Bay real quick. I'll go through these quickly.
The Bayfluence.
Bayfluence. I like that. So, Wally Feister, who is Christopher Nolan's cinematographer on most of his movies,
Nerd alert.
he was talking about Christopher Nolan in an interview, and they said, "Are you guys very similar with your movie taste?"
He was talking about Christopher Nolan. He was talking about
Yes,
Michael
he
Bay.
talked about Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
And he said, in quotes, "There are the movies out there that he loves and I hate. I'm not a big Michael Bay fan. Chris loves Michael Bay's movies." And so-
Attaboy, Chris.
And so I'm always like, come on, dude. But he sees something in it, and I don't see it. And I saw this, and I'm like,
Kent loves Michael Bay now.
okay, James Cameron, he says, "I've studied his films and reverse engineered his shooting style. He loves what I call the big train set. Huge physical production, just as I do. It is the most challenging type of filmmaking, and he does it gorgeously." James Cameron. Ben Affleck, who's won a Best Director award. And
He's a director.
Ben
He's a
Affleck.
writer.
he has
he's
not
an
won a
actor.
Best Director Oscar.
He did.
He did.
No,
He
it was best writing.
He didn't win
no,
it.
No, he did.
He
Or
won
Argo.
Oh, Best
He
Picture.
didn't win Best Director that year.
Didn't he win
was
Best
not
Picture?
nominated. Ang Lee won it for Life of Pi.
That's right.
He
Listen-
wasn't nominated, and that was like the scandal.
Listen, Dan, the movie man. But he is a great director.
This is what I do in my car when I listen to the podcast.
That's
Is I
right.
correct you guys.
Yeah, now you
Actually,
can do it live.
everyone does that.
Yeah.
So Ben Affleck says, "I think Michael is actually an auteur in the
So Ben Affleck, Best Actress winner. Go ahead.
in the true sense of the word. Every movie he makes reflects his personal creative vision. You may like it, you may not, but those movies are him without compromise. There's something to be said for sticking to your guns." Moving on, Steven Spielberg. He has the best eye for multiple levels of pure visual adrenaline.
Yep.
Right.
And I mean, that's kind of a backhanded.
I'll agree with Steve.
Here's the thing. George Lucas, this is the weirdest backhand. He says, "Michael's films are immediately identifiable."
All right.
So, and there's a few actors and writers he's worked with, but I think like those are premier directors saying, look, you may love him, you may hate him, but Michael Bay's movies are his movies. They will never
But if
be
I have a
vanilla.
quote. So here's the quote. It was from an article in Variety. I don't remember the guy who said it, but He says there are a million hacks in Hollywood, but there's only one Michael Bay.
Yes.
Or James
You know
Cameron
what?
or Simon West.
And then
or
if I might
Scott.
add, love him or hate him, the guy has got his style, and it's perfect. I guess I must never have matured past 15 or 16 when he started making these movies,
But
and
yet
I
you
started
lo-
watching them.
but
I love them.
and yet you launched the good ship Kenty Pop because
What?
I do appreciate an awesome period piece or a British drama. I like all kinds of movies.
and I think there's no harm in enjoying a good popcorn flick.
These are movies for dads, and I'm a dad now.
no
So
much like when you eat, you can't eat only vegetables.
You can't eat.
But I'm
Can't
saying
eat filet mignon.
No, I'm saying
every meal.
you can't eat really, delicious healthy. You can't eat kale every meal, Have some junk food occasionally.
Right.
It's fine. But as long as you have a well-balanced diet of films, as long as
Yes.
you like well-rounded interests, you'll be fine. If you have no heart and no soul and can't get into any sort of popcorn flicks or Marvel movies or anything comedies, you may want to seek a therapist.
I have been. So,
this is a safe space.
what would it take for you guys? Oh, Dan, you're already a fan.
Yes.
Joel and I are not fans, but tonight we've really, really tried.
But
what would you like to see in the future from this guy?
that's what I want to bring up.
to
though.
win you over? Or Dan, what would you like to see continue?
That's what I want to bring up, though.
Joel, you first.
Well, I just want to bring this up because I don't think he deserves as bad of a reputation as he has. Because I think the
Yes,
bad reputation
definitely
is
true.
entirely earned from the Transformers franchise.
Do you think if he stopped with 3, that he'd be seen in a better light?
Maybe.
Because 4 and 5,
Yes.
honestly, it seemed like more of a cash
2 was
grab.
not that great.
No, 2's awful. It's my least favorite.
If I may put it in this way, Johnny Depp was known for being a pretty good actor for a long time
yeah,
there.
the 90s were great for him.
And then he got stuck in a role, in a rut in a role. He was Jack Sparrow, and then he
Right.
was never able to not be Jack Sparrow. And then each time you saw Jack Sparrow in another movie, it's like, oh, it's not as funny this time.
Right.
Oh, it's not
The
as funny
novelty
this time.
wore off for Johnny Depp, and
But that's what I
as a
feel like
pirate.
Michael Bay, and much like Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees, they started out one way, and then they became kind of parodies of themselves, and they became a joke because of what they'd become.
Yes.
I feel it's the same with Michael Bay, because you look at his early bodies of work, he was really trying to do something there and succeeding. And then he got stuck in this Transformers rut. And so what I think he needs to do to regain credibility is never make another Transformers movie again. Not be attached to any, let him die. And then I think he can regain a lot of credibility and make different movies. And like, I'm sorry that Pain and Gain didn't make the money you wanted to, or 13 Hours didn't make the money you wanted to, but try, Mikey, try.
I think you're right. I think as much as I would hate to see it, he should hand over the reins. He can still produce and everything, but hand over
they
the
need to go away.
reins.
They need to go away.
I didn't.
Kaboom.
Okay, even if you never make another Transformers movie, Michael Bay shouldn't make another
He
Transformers
said he's
movies.
done. He said that for
Really,
the past-
it seems like I read he's like, oh, I got 6 more movies at least.
he will produce them. In fact, Bumblebee's coming out at the end of this
Yes,
year. He is not
yes.
directing it, and I think that's a good sign. In fact,
That is a
he's
good
booked
sign.
for 2 more movies. One called Six Underground,
What's
which
that
not
about?
much is known, but he's also doing a movie which is based on a very popular book called Robopocalypse. This is
Spielberg was going to do that at
yes,
one point.
and Spielberg passed it.
Is this a sci-fi original movie?
Basically, it's actually it's like iRobot, to be honest with you. But it's a very well-known book, and Spielberg passed it to Michael Bay because he likes him. They've collaborated a ton.
Right.
Here's what I want from him. I want Robopocalypse. I want to see his big, dumb human uprising against the robot movie. And it's not giant robots. It's like androids.
Okay.
But then I want to see a smaller movie. I want to see
Smaller
him,
robots?
yeah. Tiny, small soldiers. I want to see him take $20 million and make a movie. I want to see a Quiet Place type movie. Maybe even a
Yes.
rom-com from Michael Bay.
Dude, but that just
A
seems-
rom-com.
No,
Why
that-
not?
I think why not? Because I think we know what he does well, and if he tries to stray from that,
No, he's like Adam Sandler. When Adam Sandler
Adam Sandler, another person who's got caught in a rut and become a parody of themselves.
Precisely.
Yes.
And if you look at the box office success of Adam Sandler, the dumber the movies, the more box office. When he tries to go outside of that with Punch Drunk Love or even Spanglish, he doesn't make very much money.
Yeah, but then he goes really dumb and like Little Nicky, and it just completely.
And it
bombs.
makes it.
Oh, little Nicky.
Yes, but I mean,
But I understand what you're going for,
Yes.
and that was a slam on Adam Sandler, not on Michael Bay. So don't kaboom
yeah,
me.
no kabooms here. But I wish he would just leave franchises. I think no more sequels for Michael Bay. I want to see more movies.
No more sequels.
I want to see movies like The
No
Island.
sequels for you.
Where maybe it doesn't need to be a twist every time, but they're does need to be a spin with his visual flair because he's very purposeful.
But I think he should stick to the genre of action.
Yes.
And maybe horror, because horror and action actually go in quite well together.
Yeah.
So I think action is his bread and butter, though. And I think if he strays too far from that, he's going to lose his audience even more because he knows his audience. He just needs to stop making Transformers movies.
Someone needs to figure out a way to put Michael Bay with an Oscar-winning screenwriter or something.
Because I mean,
For reals, like,
Look, yeah, no,
and
you're right.
I mean this 100%. If he had a really quality script, it would be a really awesome movie. I think we like The Rock because the idea of that movie is super cool and fun.
Yes.
bunch of soldiers on Alcatraz holding a hostage. Awesome. But no, pull out the Transformers from his repertoire, and what you get is Bad Boys, The Rock, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, Bad Boys 2, The Island, 13 Hours, Pain and Gain.
Pretty solid.
Pretty solid. You know,
Pretty
one
solid.
or two flops there, but
Yes.
still, but then it's just because of Transformers. It's become synonymous with Michael Bay, and that's what the point I wanted to bring up today, Your Honor, if I may.
Yeah.
In defense of my
Proceed.
In defense of my client, Michael Bay, you don't hate Michael Bay movies. You hate Transformers movies.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
So that was my big line of defense I had to save for the end of the courtroom scene.
Dan, would you like to continue?
I don't think you're far off. I think the first Transformers movie is the best, and because it's the most relatable. When it was a smaller story, he's good with fairly intimate stories and making them awesome, for lack of a better word.
Awesome is the right word. Your Honor, I have a quote from the man here, Michael Bay.
Come on out, Mikey.
And he says, and this sums up what he wants to bring the movie-going population. He says, it's the inspiration. It's the inspiration to start to dream. I create a world within my movies for audiences to enjoy. What makes me giddy is the idea to eventually have that complete project to show. He is creating a complete picture, and he knows that he relies on visuals. And he may not rely on the character or the story as much, but he wants to provide a product and a formula to you for enjoyment.
There you go.
I could rant after that because sometimes enjoyment can get pretty awful.
And enjoyment's pretty subjective.
But I'm
Can't eat
trying
cotton candy all the time.
Agreed.
But we think we'll leave it there. We're supposed to be in defense of Michael Bay. I think we've defended him well. We've done what you've asked, listener. We've had our unpleasant conversation. And if I may be completely honest, doing the research for this show did soften my feelings towards Michael Bay a little bit, where I'm like, you know what? He did have some good hits.
And I hope we did the same thing for everyone listening.
We hope so. We hope
made it to
we
this
hope you
point.
enjoyed it. Let us know what you really think of Michael Bay. Like, it's fine if you don't like him. There's things not to like about him, but let us know if it's a safe space on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. Well, you won't be mocked. I'm lying. You will be, baby. But there's a place where you can talk about what you like and what you don't like. So let us know. Before we close out, though, Dan, anything you want to plug? Anyone you want to shout out to? Anyone you want to say hi to?
No. Being put on the spot like that, I hadn't thought of anybody. I love my wife. Thanks, honey, for putting the kids to bed so I could come and hang out.
What are you talking about? It's Monday morning. Magic of podcasting. And yeah, Jacob, we hope you get feeling better. But
Yes.
if you want to find me, you can find me at 786Joel on Twitter, or you can find me performing with Quick Wits. They perform every Saturday night at the Midville Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quick Wits Facebook page.
If you want to find me on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, it's ShowtimeShowdown.com. And also, if you want to go buy our t-shirts and or merch,
go to tpublic.com/baconsale.
yeah, there you go.
Oh, and
Yes.
please give us a rating or review on iTunes. We like those.
Until next time, I am Kent Dunn, and I send this message to any surviving listeners taking refuge among the stars. We are here. We are waiting. I'm tapping you on the shoulder. Do you hate this? Do you hate this? I'm like, yes, I hate you.
Make us uncomfortable. Let your Bay flag fly.
When jets are flying over you. I like 2.5-star movies. I am a slack-jawed yokel. I think, Dan, you have devolved.
So you get up here close, nuzzle the microphone.
So close.
Do I need to Clorox wipe this?
They love solar flares. He's really good at propaganda.
I like Michael Bay movies, and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
I know, I'm just having issues.
Joel, Kaboom. Be a little more positive, please.
Bowel issues.
But
All right,
Kaboom.
you do it.
Kaboom? That was a kaboom?
It's a Kaboom. This show's going to be so
That
full
was
of
a
Kaboom.
That was a Kaboom.
Him, his shirt flapping in the wind as he's running. It's like, woo, Will Smith. Every shot is a
Working
hero
out.
shot with him. No, this is rant time. This is my time.
I'm sorry.
This is my time
This
down
is
here.
Joel's time.
That vein really comes out of your forehead when you do that too.
It's because of the Oreo shake.
Kaboom.
Kaboom. This is a dumb joke.
Kaboom.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Nothing. I was happy. For Nolan Kent.
Oh, yeah.
I've never wondered what a car looks like when it pees on something.
I really, really don't care.
He knows he's going to have the beautiful women and the beautiful men doing beautiful things.
Marvel has a formula that works, and I think they borrowed it from Michael Bay. That's
Kaboom.
actually, I'm going to kaboom myself on that one.
You said they wanted to marry and have the Transformer babies. I was more of a deep impact kind of guy. I only borrowed your Humvee. Am I getting emotional in an action movie? You can't perv out on the end of Baconsale.
That was the shot that solidified it all for 15 and 16-year-old boys.
And 26-year-old. Kaboom went my heart, okay?
Kent loves Michael Bay now. And yet you launched the good ship Kenty Pop. Winners say they'll try. Losers stay home and date the prom queen.